I'm Matt Cassavaugh. We're coming to you today from Casa Larga Vineyards in Fairport, New York. Today I'm going to start off by introducing John Colaruotolo. John is one of the owners here at Casa Larga, and he's also a pretty modest guy, so he probably won't tell you that a lot of what the brand is today is due to all the hard work he did in his childhood and young adult years. Not that you're not still young.
Yeah, no.
But
Thanks.
We're here to talk about this new wine, Heritage White, and John knows a lot about the history of the part of the vineyard it was created from, so he's going to talk about that for a little bit.
Yeah, this blend here, our brand new Heritage White, is a blend of grapes that we started planting in the early days of the winery, basically to figure out what was going to grow best on our site. So there's different clones of Chardonnay, Riesling, Vidal, and other varieties. These are all whites, and from there we actually pulled, once we saw how they grew, we were able to pull those vines and graft our own and create the vineyard that you see here today. So these kind of like as a special block, and Matt has crafted this field blend, and we hope to bring that to you today.
Yeah, our winemaking team was inspired by the history and heritage of this tiny plot of vines. So when you're making a blended wine, there's two ways you can do it. You can take the grape varieties, you can make them all separate, and then after the fact, when they're already created into wine, go back through and blend them. The second way, which is the way we use to make this wine, is called a field blend. So in that instance, you take all the grapes, you pick them at the same time into the same containers, and you press them in the same press. So the juice is intermingled right from the beginning. I think in this particular instance, it allowed us to create a really cohesive, kind of seamless representation of the way all these grape varieties come together. So in this wine, there is Riesling, Chardonnay, Vidal Blanc, Gewürztraminer, and Muscat Ottonel. It's really interesting because it makes one kind of seamless wine, but you can pick up a little bit of the stone fruit, a little bit of the citrus from the Riesling, nice full body from the Chardonnay, and then you get a lot of tropical fruit from the Vidal, some floral characteristics from the Gewürztraminer and the Muscat.
Finishes a little on the drier side.
Yeah, it's not bone dry.
A lot of meals, both light and some seafood. Sea bass, I think, is really great.
Yeah, absolutely. We're also really excited to release our new vintage of one of our more popular wines, our Wild Ferment Riesling. And what we're talking about when we call it a wild ferment is that we use just natural indigenous yeasts. So yeast come in already on the grapes, they're already kind of floating around in the vineyard, and that's what we use to conduct the fermentation, which is a little bit more risky, a little bit different, because you don't know what yeast strain you're working with, so you don't always know exactly how to treat it to make it as happy as possible. So there's a little bit of risk involved, but it also offers the reward of really representing everything that the property has to offer.
Yeah, and the wild ferment, it takes a lot of time. It's something that we actually didn't do at the early stages of the winery because it was such a scary process, and you really have to be dedicated to making sure that a wild ferment moves along the way it's supposed to move to create a great wine. So let's give it a shot.
Yeah, definitely. So one of the things I see coming through in wild ferment Rieslings a lot is a lot of texture. It just brings a lot more body and roundness to the mouthfeel of the wine, which helps kind of balance out some of the natural acidity in the Riesling grapes. These also come from block 2 of our vineyard, which is one of the warmer, more mature blocks in our vineyard. It always produces really, really aromatic kind of wines that just pop right out of the glass.
I think my father would be very proud of this wine. Thank you, Matt. Good job.
So come on down to the tasting room, 2287 Turk Hill Road up in Fairport, and give this wine a shot.